welcome to our relationship book club. We are reading together John and Julie Gottman and Doug and Rachel Abrams' 8 Dates. So this has been such a great book. I have so enjoyed not only reading this book, going out on the dates, but also hearing your stories and commentaries. So let me know, are you going on these dates? Are you enjoying them? Are you getting stuck anywhere? How can we help you? I'd love to hear your experience. This week's date is all about let's get it on. My favorite topic, sex and intimacy in marriage. So important to be able to talk about. So as I was reading this week, one of the first thing I noticed was the connection of a healthy, thriving sex life to kissing. So I just want to read a little bit from what they write. So there is one simple way to keep the passion flowing in your relationship. Kiss, kiss a lot, kiss often. Kiss each time you leave each other and each time you see each other again after being apart. So they are reporting research over 70,000 couples and what they say about kissing. So it says, when you kiss passionately, you set off a chemical cascade of hormones and neurotransmitters that release dopamine and increase oxytocin, both of which make you feel good. Lips are our body's most exposed erogenous zone and are associated with a disproportionately large part of the brain. In just 6 seconds, you tell each other that you matter and you choose each other over and over again. So this is from one of the largest studies of love on the planet, with 70,000 people in 24 countries, found that in all great relationships, kissing passionately for no reason at all was one universal key to a great sex life. The Science of Kissing cites a 10-year German study and found that men who kissed their wives before leaving for work lived 5 years longer and earned 20% more than men who left without a pet goodbye. So those are some pretty strong statistics for kissing. So if you're not kissing regularly, I highly suggest you start kissing because it is highly correlated with a healthy, thriving sex life. But in that same study of 70,000 responses, here's what it said. Couples who have a great sex life say I love you to their partners every day and mean it, buy one another surprise romantic gifts, compliment their partner often, have romantic vacations, give each other back rubs, kiss one another passionately for no reason at all. It's what we just read about. Show affection publicly, hold hands, caress and kiss, cuddle with one another every day, have a romantic date once a week that may include dressing up, dinner out, massage, and lovemaking, which is what I'm always talking about. So love that study found that. Make sex a priority and talk to one another about sex comfortably, are open to a variety of sexual activities, and turn towards bids for emotional connection. Furthermore, the more couples do these things, the better their sex life is. So here is one of my favorite quotes by John Gottman, where he says, the bottom line is that great sex is not rocket science. It's very doable, but you have to be able to talk about it and you have to make it a priority in your relationship. Now, research shows that couples who can talk openly about sex have more sex, and the women in these relationships have more orgasms. Talking about sex is a win-win for couples, even with the knowledge that just talking about sex creates more sex and more satisfying sex. It can still be difficult. Now, if you have not done this date yet, or if you did this date and you're still struggling a little bit to talk about sex, my podcast episode this week that drops on Wednesday is all about talking about sex. It's how to communicate about sex, because obviously being able to communicate is a very important factor in having a great sex life. The other really important factor is prioritizing it, and that is just a choice. So as a finishing thought, here is what they say about creating really great sexual intimacy in your relationship. They say, let your partner know you are thinking about them and loving them. These little acts of stolen moments of connection, the kind that happen outside the bedroom, are exactly what will keep the passion in your relationship alive far more than any wild tricks you might try behind closed doors. Take time to date each other, to get to know each other day in and day out, and create your own rituals for connection. Making love to each other is something you do with your minds and your hearts, whether the body is involved or not. And trust us when we say these types of loving gestures and romantic rituals will make your desire for each other grow over the years, which is what is so important. So on this date, remember to have fun with it. You're talking about a topic that is uncomfortable for most people, but the way you get good at communicating about sex is to continue to do it. Make it a priority and talk about it. That's what John Gottman says makes up a great sex life. So the thing about going out on this date, if you haven't already, is that you open up the discussion about sexual topics and sexuality in your relationship. But the key is not to stop there. It's to keep the conversation going over your lifetime. So while you're on your date, after you've discussed it, think about times in which you can keep talking about it. So I often encourage my clients and students to create a time that is when you go over the things that are affecting your sex life. So Sex Talk Tuesdays, or go for a drive and just talk about it on a regular basis. And that's how you're going to get really good at communicating about sex. And then also make sure that you listen to Wednesday's podcast episode, The Secrets of Happily Ever After, because I will go into great detail about how to open and keep that conversation going. So thanks for joining us for this episode of our book club. Next Monday, we'll be talking about the cost of love, work and money. So if you're not caught up, totally fine. As you go out on these dates, make sure you come back and report and let us know how it's going for you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next.